My beloved child, tonight the veil between the seen and unseen trembles, and Archangel Michael steps forward with a message that carries the weight of eternity. His voice is not loud, but it is sharp, clear, and urgent, like a trumpet that pierces through silence. He says to you, your spirit is on the edge of judgment. Open this now before grace is withdrawn forever. And if these words reached your screen, you must understand this is not an accident, not a coincidence, not a random scroll. Heaven has interfered. You were pulled into this moment because something around you has shifted. Something in the spiritual atmosphere that you may have felt but couldn't explain. A heaviness, a tightening, a stirring in your soul that whispers, something is coming. Archangel Michael reveals that this tension is not imagination. It is divine alertness, a spiritual alarm ringing over your life before a door closes. A doorway of mercy that has been open for a long time is now beginning to narrow. Not because God wants to punish you, but because the season you are stepping into requires clarity, courage, and cleansing. And the truth is, some things connected to your life right now cannot enter the next chapter with you. Something, or someone, is draining your light. Something is weakening your discernment. Something is pushing your spirit dangerously close to a line you were never meant to approach. Archangel Michael has been assigned to stand beside you in this hour. He is the warrior of heaven, the guardian of divine justice, the angel who carries the sword of truth. And right now, he stands at the threshold of your life saying, "Wake up, child. You are closer to a divine decision than you realize. There is a judgment being weighed, not against you, but for you. A judgment that will determine who stays in your life, who is removed, what is exposed, and what is restored. This is spiritual court. This is heavenly evaluation. This is the moment where God looks at what has been draining your destiny and says, enough. But for the verdict to shift in your favor, your spirit must be awake. You cannot sleepwalk into this season. Michael shows me that someone has been taking advantage of your kindness, your silence, your patience. They think you don't notice. They think you won't speak. They think your spirit is weak. But heaven knows your breaking point, and heaven knows your calling. And heaven has decided that this cycle must end before it destroys what God placed inside you. Grace has covered you for a long time. Now grace wants to transform you. And before transformation comes separation. You have felt the spiritual signals, sudden emotional exhaustion, strange dreams, tension with certain people, feeling watched, an inner voice saying, "Prepare yourself." These signs were not random. They were warnings, divine whispers, heavenly indicators that the spiritual war around you has intensified. Archangel Michael steps closer and says, "Child, you are standing at a spiritual edge. One wrong agreement can block a blessing. One right decision can release destiny. Choose the light." And here is the part that will shake you. Michael reveals that someone around you has been operating from a place of jealousy, deception, or spiritual confusion, and their presence has been affecting your spirit more than you realize. There is a draining connection heaven is about to expose. You have trusted someone who is secretly threatened by your light. You have allowed access to someone who is not assigned to your future. And the longer you ignore the pull of your intuition, the louder heaven must speak. Tonight, heaven is speaking loudly. Heaven is saying, "Wake up. Pay attention. Protect your spirit." You are being brought to this video at the exact moment when your destiny requires alertness. And child, before you move forward, hear this clearly. Your story is not ending. Your grace is not ending. But the season of tolerating what hurts your soul is. This is why this message found you. This is why the timing feels divine. This is why something inside you is trembling right now. Your spirit recognizes truth. Your soul recognizes warning. Your heart recognizes prophecy. And as we go deeper, you will see exactly what Michael is exposing, what heaven is preparing, and what shift is about to unfold over your life. Something major is about to be revealed, something that will make everything suddenly make sense. Before we continue, hold on, you'll want to hear what comes next, because this is where the revelation becomes personal. Type "I choose the light" in the comments if this message is touching your spirit. Blessing code 441 is now activated over your life. Listen closely, dear soul, for what Archangel Michael is revealing now moves deeper than warning. It reaches into the hidden chambers of your life, the places even you have not fully confronted. The spiritual edge you stand on is not a cliff meant to destroy you. It is a threshold meant to awaken you. And Michael shows me that something in your spirit has been crying for clarity, crying for truth, crying for a sign that confirms what your heart has quietly sensed but could not put into words. This message is that confirmation. There hath been a subtle darkness pressing against your life, not to overpower you, but to confuse you. Confusion is one of the most dangerous spiritual attacks because it does not shout. It whispers. It makes you question your intuition, question your value, and question your path. And Archangel Michael reveals that you have been absorbing energies, emotions, and spiritual weights that were never meant to be yours. Someone connected to your life, whether by relationship, memory, or emotional attachment, has been draining the very peace God has been trying to restore within you. You may have felt this drain in the form of anxiety that arrives without cause, heaviness that sits on your chest, mood shifts that come out of nowhere, or a feeling that someone is mentally or spiritually pulling on you without permission. These sensations are evidence that your spirit has been carrying a weight that was never assigned by heaven. And Michael steps forward in this moment with fierce purpose, saying, "Child, you have endured enough." The forces that tried to weaken your spirit are now being confronted. The edge of judgment you are standing on is not about punishment. It is about divine separation. You are being separated from what has been stealing your strength. You are being separated from hidden intentions that were never meant to attach themselves to your destiny. You are being separated from cycles you did not choose but somehow inherited. And Michael is cutting through every unseen rope that has been tying you to fear, guilt, and spiritual exhaustion. There is someone in your life whose presence has been interfering with your spiritual clarity. You may sense this person when your energy suddenly drops after interacting with them. You may notice tension in your spirit when they appear in your thoughts or conversations. You may feel as though you are always giving, while they only take. Heaven is shining a bright, undeniable light on that connection because the next chapter of your journey requires alignment, purity, and truth. Michael shows me that this person has been walking in two energies. They present themselves one way, but their internal intentions do not match their outward image. They may not be evil, but they are unstable. They may not mean to harm you, but their unresolved battles, insecurities, or silent resentment have been spilling into your spiritual atmosphere. Their confusion has been trying to become your confusion. Their chaos has been trying to wrap itself around your peace. Their fear has been trying to reach for your faith. And heaven says, enough. This is the hour where truth replaces illusion. Your spirit has been sensing a shift coming, like a door closing behind you and another door unlocking ahead. And that sensation is not random. It is divine timing. The spiritual season around you is tightening because God is positioning you for a phase of supernatural clarity. But clarity cannot come when you are surrounded by spiritual noise. And Michael has been clearing that noise. You may feel yourself becoming quieter lately, more observant, more distant, more protective of your energy. That is not withdrawal. That is preparation. Michael whispers, "What is ahead is too important for you to be distracted now. Your steps are being guided into purpose, alignment, and awakening. And even though you may feel like something is being taken from you, the truth is that heaven is removing only what has been blocking your light. What is being taken is not loss, it is liberation. There is a moment approaching where everything will make sense. A revelation, a truth, a shift. Something is about to be exposed that will confirm why heaven called you into this message. You will soon understand who have been influencing your spirit, why your discernment hath been sharpening, and why you have been feeling spiritually watched or spiritually pulled. This is the moment where the unseen becomes seen, and Michael stands ready to protect you as that truth unfolds. You do not need to fear what is being revealed. You do not need to fear what is ending. You do not need to fear the unknown. Heaven is not subtracting from you. Heaven is safeguarding you. Every battle you have endured has been noticed. Every silent tear has been counted. Every moment of confusion has been recorded. And now heaven says, the time of wandering is over. The time of awakening has begun. Before we go deeper into what this revelation means for the coming days, pause for just a moment. Something powerful is coming in the next part, something that will connect the message directly to your situation. Trust yourself enough to stay present because the next truth may be the very one your spirit has been waiting months, or even years, to hear. Hold steady now, this is where the message becomes unmistakably personal. Type "I awaken to truth" in the comments if your spirit feels the shift. Blessing code 993 is now released over your life. Child of awakening, as Archangel Michael steps even closer, his presence carries an authority that silences every distracting voice around you. In this moment, he is not only the warrior of heaven, he is the messenger of exposure, the divider of truth and illusion. You have been sensing that something in your life hath been shifting, tightening, and pressing inward. That sensation is not spiritual instability, it is spiritual alignment. You are being prepared for a revelation that will not only open your eyes, but free your soul in a way you have not experienced before. Michael reveals that the spiritual tension you've been carrying did not begin today. It began the moment you allowed someone access to your heart whose spirit was not aligned with your destiny. There has been a silent conflict inside you, the battle between what you feel and what you fear to admit. You sensed their energy dipping, their intentions shifting, their presence becoming heavier. But you kept giving grace, because your heart wanted to believe the best. Yet heaven saw the truth long before you did. Archangel Michael whispers, the person who has been affecting your spirit is not the person they pretend to be. This is not sent to frighten you, but to awaken you. Your confusion attached itself to you. Their bitterness leaked into you. Their jealousy concealed itself behind polite words and familiar gestures. They have been wrestling with their own shadows, and instead of healing, they unconsciously projected those shadows onto you. And because your heart is pure, you absorbed more than you should have. There is a spiritual law that Michael is now enforcing over your life. What drains you cannot remain connected to you. Heaven has been observing how your energy shifts after you speak with them, how your peace drops around them, how your intuition tightens at the sound of their name. These aren't coincidences. These aren't mood swings. These are divine alarms. And every alarm has been leading to this moment. Michael says you are on the edge of a spiritual judgment because heaven must decide what stays and what is removed. But hear this clearly. The judgment is not against you. It is for you. It is for your protection. The spiritual edge you stand on is the place where God separates truth from deception, loyalty from pretense, alignment from distraction. Something you trust in is about to be revealed for what it truly is. And when that revelation comes, you will realize heaven has been trying to warn you long before today. Michael shows me that this person hath been secretly wrestling with insecurity. They admire your light but resent the strength it gives you. They see your resilience and mistake it for advantage. They see your favor and feel threatened by it. And their spirit has been projecting a subtle resistance against your growth. Without realizing it, they have been holding your spirit hostage with their unspoken envy. But heaven will not allow this to continue. You are entering a season where every hidden intention must rise to the surface. Every disguised motive must reveal itself. Every false connection must break. And every imbalanced relationship must be restructured. Archangel Michael is not only protecting you, he is preparing you for clarity so sharp it will cut off every false attachment in a single moment. You may feel emotional waves rising within you as you hear these words. Waves of realization, waves of recognition, waves of truth finally finding its voice. This is because your spirit knows something is being confirmed. Archangel Michael is not introducing a new truth. He is unveiling the truth you already sensed but hesitated to embrace. And now, child, listen carefully. There is a moment approaching where everything will shift in your favor. A conversation, a sign, a sudden understanding, a divine moment of exposure will show you exactly who has been interfering with your peace. And when it happens, it will not break you, it will free you. You will finally understand why heaven said your spirit is on the edge of judgment. Because heaven is choosing a path for you that leads away from spiritual confusion and into spiritual clarity. And before we move forward, pause. Because what comes next will connect directly to the person, the moment, or the situation that has been disturbing your spirit. If you leave now, you will miss the very revelation that heaven has been positioning you to receive. Stay close, the curtain is about to lift. Before we step into that, if this message is speaking to you, make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. Not because the platform needs it, but because every time you help this message spread, you are becoming a vessel for someone else's divine awakening. Hype this video so that someone who is just as lost, confused, or spiritually drained as you once were can find the message that sets them free. Type "I stand in truth" in the comments if this message is piercing through your spirit. Blessing code 118 is now active over your life. Just as Archangel Michael speaks of divine separation and spiritual awakening, there is a mission unfolding here as well. When you support this channel through super thanks, membership, or even a PayPal seed in the description, you are not giving to a platform. You are sowing into a movement that lifts souls out of darkness. God says that every seed produces a harvest of light in someone's life, and your giving becomes the oil that keeps these messages flowing to those who need them. I hear this deeply in my spirit. When you open your hand, I open the heavens. This is your moment to respond to that divine nudge. Let your generosity become a prophetic act that unlocks breakthrough in your own journey. I bless every giver with the promise that what they release in faith returns to them multiplied in grace. Step into this holy action now, for heaven is moving. Chosen soul, lean in now, for Archangel Michael is opening a deeper layer of this revelation, one that touches the very root of why heaven has been urgently calling your attention. What you are experiencing right now is not ordinary, not emotional confusion, and not a passing phase. It is a spiritual turning point. A moment where heaven is shifting the atmosphere around your life because the season you are stepping into cannot be built on unstable foundations. Michael stands before you with a sword of divine clarity, and every word he releases is meant to sharpen your spirit for what is coming next. He shows me that for a long time, you have been walking with a divided heart, one part of you anchored in faith and discernment, and the other part tied to memories, attachments, and emotional agreements that no longer match your spiritual growth. This inner division has created a subtle spiritual fog around you. You have felt this fog as hesitation, uncertainty, or a sense that you are being pulled in two opposite directions. One direction leads toward divine alignment and destiny. The other leads toward emotional confusion and soul exhaustion. Archangel Michael reveals that this fog exists because someone in your life hath been influencing your spirit without your awareness. Their words may sound supportive, but their energy carries a hidden heaviness. Your presence may feel familiar, but their spirit is not aligned with your calling. And you, being the empathic soul you are, absorbed their unspoken fears, their unhealed wounds, their silent insecurities. Instead of releasing their emotions, you carried them. Instead of separating your struggles from theirs, you blended them. And without realizing it, their spiritual weight began to shape your inner atmosphere. But heaven is stepping in now. Michael says, "Child, what you have been carrying for others is now being lifted off your spirit. You will no longer be weighed down by burdens that were never yours. This is the spiritual judgment you stand at. Not punishment, but separation. Not destruction, but purification. There is a spiritual line being drawn around you, defining where your energy ends and where someone else's begins. Michael shows me that this person has unknowingly drained your strength. They relied on your wisdom but ignored your needs. They pulled from your light but offered no nourishment in return. And though they may not realize it, they have been feeding on your spiritual clarity like a shadow seeking warmth from a flame. Heaven cannot allow this imbalance to continue. You are entering a season where your spirit must be strong, sharp, and unclouded. Your destiny requires full awareness. Your calling requires full strength. And your next season requires full freedom from emotional entanglements that stunt your growth. Archangel Michael stands with a shield of divine order, declaring that the days of spiritual leakage are ending. He whispers, "You are not the same person you were when this connection began. You have grown, but they have remained the same. And now your paths must diverge. This may not be someone you dislike. In fact, it may be someone you once trusted deeply. But trust without alignment becomes a trap, and heaven will break every trap that threatens your purpose." Michael shows me that a significant shift is coming, something that will open your eyes to the real nature of this connection. It may be through a conversation where their true intentions slip out. It may be a moment where their jealousy becomes visible. It may be a situation where their lack of support exposes what you tried to ignore. Regardless of how it unfolds, heaven has decided that clarity will no longer wait for your comfort. It will come because you need it. And child, this clarity will not break your heart. It will strengthen your soul. You will begin to understand why you felt drained after certain interactions, why your spirit died in certain environment, why your peace left you after certain conversations. These were not random emotions. They were spiritual diagnostics. Your intuition had been speaking, but heaven is now amplifying its voice. Michael reveals that once this separation occurs, your spirit will rise quickly. Your energy will return. Your confidence will strengthen. Your discernment will sharpen. And opportunities that were blocked by this spiritual entanglement will finally reach you. Heaven is clearing your path because your next season is too important to be interfered with by hidden influences. You may feel a stirring right now, a recognition, an inner knowing that spirit is pointing toward a specific situation or person. Trust that feeling. That is your soul confirming what heaven has been trying to show you for months. You are not imagining the shift. You are sensing divine intervention. Before we enter the next stage of the revelation, hold steady for a moment. What comes next will shine a clear light on the spiritual role Archangel Michael is playing in this moment. It will explain why he stepped forward, why he chose you, and why this message carries a warning wrapped in mercy. If you move too quickly, you may miss the very answer you have been praying for in silence. Stay present, because the next revelation will not just explain your situation. It will set your spirit free. Type "I break every false connection" in the comments if your soul feels the truth rising inside you. Lesson code 704 is now flowing over your life. Beloved one, prepare your heart, for what Archangel Michael is revealing now is the turning point of this entire spiritual message. His presence surrounds you like a shield, like a wall of unshakable fire, because the truth he is about to uncover carries both weight and liberation. You may feel your spirit tightening, your heartbeat sharpening, your intuition whispering louder. That is because your soul already knows that heaven is touching something deeply rooted, something that has shaped your emotions, your relationships, and even your spiritual direction. Michael shows me that for far too long, you have been walking with a spiritual shadow attached to you, not a demon, not a curse, but the lingering energy of someone whose intentions toward you were never pure enough to match your calling. This attachment has drained your clarity, weakened your confidence, and clouded your intuition. You kept trying to fix the connection, to hold the peace, to maintain the bond. But you were fighting for something heaven never anointed, and heaven has decided that this chapter must now close. He reveals that this person entered your life during a vulnerable season. Their presence felt comforted at first, familiar, almost safe. They appeared understanding, supportive, and emotionally available. But beneath the surface, their spirit had fractures, unhealed wounds, unresolved jealousy, internal conflicts they did not address. Over time, those fractures began spilling into your spiritual environment, and without realizing it, you became the emotional ground upon which they placed their fears and doubts. Michael says, "Child, your compassion has been your strength, but also your vulnerability. You are someone who sees the good in others, even when the good is buried beneath layers of pain. But in this case, your heart overlooked signs that your intuition caught clearly. You felt the shift. You felt the heaviness. You felt the silent distance in their eyes. You felt the moments where they celebrated you publicly but resented you privately. You felt when their support became inconsistent, your tone changed, their energy grew colder. These weren't mood swings. They were spiritual red flags. Archangel Michael shows me that this person has been wrestling with envy, quiet envy, the kind that never speaks but always leaks. They admired your strength, but envied the source of it. They appreciated your light, but feared how brightly it revealed their own shadows. They loved the comfort of being close to your spirit, but hated the feeling of being spiritually outgrown. And so, without malice but with deep insecurity, they began pulling on your energy in ways that drained you. Heaven watched this imbalance. Heaven observed the toll it took on your spirit. And heaven determined that the time for correction, separation, and revelation had arrived. Michael steps forward with a clarity that cannot be misunderstood. He says, "The judgment you are standing on is the moment where heaven chooses your future over your comfort. This person cannot go with you into the next chapter, not because they are evil, but because their spirit is not aligned. They cannot celebrate your elevation. They cannot match your growth. They cannot carry the weight of your calling. And if this connection continues, it will eventually pull you backward into a season God is already delivering you from. But here is the powerful truth. You have already begun to detach, even without realizing it. Your spirit pulled away long before your mind understood why. Your intuition began creating distance. Your dreams began showing signs. Your inner voice began repeating the same warning. Your peace began withdrawing from that connection. What you've been feeling is not disconnect. It is liberation. Archangel Michael reveals that the spiritual fog you've been experiencing is because this connection has been sitting on your destiny like a weight. Not a weight of danger, but a weight of delay. And heaven is now removing what delays you, because the next season of your life carries divine assignments that require absolute clarity. You may fear losing someone. You may fear hurting someone. You may fear being misunderstood. But child, heaven does not remove what is meant for you. Heaven only removes what threatens the purity of your path. Michael says, after this separation, your spirit will rise again. You will feel lighter. You will think clearer. You will hear God's voice more distinctly. You will reconnect with your purpose. You will remember who you are in the eyes of heaven. And you will realize that this judgment was not against you. It was in your favor. It was heaven stepping in to protect you from losing yourself while trying to hold on to someone who was losing themselves. Before we continue, pause for a moment, because what comes next will reveal the exact spiritual role Michael has been playing behind the scenes, how he has been protecting you, how he has been guiding you, and how he has been redirecting your destiny without you even knowing it. You do not want to miss the next revelation, because it will confirm everything your spirit has sensed in silence. Hold on now, this is where the message becomes unmistakably clear. Type "I release what heaven removes" in the comments if your spirit feels this truth unfolding. Lesson code 558 is now active over your journey. Beloved spirit, come closer, for Archangel Michael is now revealing a truth that sits at the very center of your spiritual awakening. Up to this point, you have been shown glimpses, pieces of the puzzle, moments of intuition, quiet nudges from within. But now the puzzle begins to form a clear picture. The spiritual edge you have been standing on is transforming into a spiritual doorway. And Michael is positioning you to step through that doorway with power, clarity, and renewed identity. He shows me that the spiritual battle surrounding your life has not been random, nor has it been without purpose. Every moment of heaviness, every sudden emotional shift, every inner hesitation you have felt, these were not signs of weakness. They were signs of interference. There has been a spiritual imbalance attached to your environment, and Michael has been fighting on your behalf long before you ever became aware of it. He whispers, you are not under attack. You are under protection. This distinction matters deeply. Many times you felt exhausted, drained, overwhelmed, or spiritually foggy, and you mistakenly blamed yourself. You wondered why your strength felt inconsistent, why your discernment felt clouded, why your emotions felt unstable. But the truth is that heaven was not punishing you, heaven was shielding you. Shielding you from energies that did not belong to your destiny. Shielding you from emotional entanglements that weaken your clarity. Shielding you from people whose intentions were not aligned with your calling. Michael shows me that your spirit is highly sensitive, highly receptive, highly attuned to spiritual frequencies. You are someone who feels deeply, even when you try to ignore what you feel. You pick up on emotional shifts in others. You sense motives before they manifest. You feel spiritual disruptions before they become visible. These sensitivities are not burdens, they are divine abilities. But because your heart is gentle and compassionate, you often absorb more than you should. Heaven hath been watching this, and heaven hath been intervening. Archangel Michael reveals that your life recently entered a period of spiritual acceleration. Things began moving faster, changes, realizations, shifts in energy, unexpected inner clarity. And any time a soul begins to ascend spiritually, Anything connected to them that is not aligned must either rise with them or fall away. This is the spiritual law of elevation. The person who has been affecting your spirit could not rise with you. Their energy did not match your growth. Their intentions did not align with your awakening. Their presence created imbalance instead of harmony. And so Michael stepped forward, not to destroy the connection, but to protect your destiny from what that connection would eventually cost you. He shows me that if heaven had remained silent, you would have continued giving your energy to someone who could not give anything back. You would have continued trying to fix what was spiritually unfixable. You would have continued pouring light into a space that was not meant to carry it. But heaven would not allow your purpose to be delayed any longer. Michael says, the reason you are receiving this message now is because the time of emotional bondage has ended. You are stepping into a season where your spirit must be free, free from attachments that drain you, free from confusion that clouds you, free from expectations that limit you. Heaven is calling you into a place of strength, clarity, and divine alignment. And in order to enter that place, something had to be revealed. Something had to be confronted. Something had to be released. This revelation might feel intense. It might stir emotions within you that you didn't expect. It might bring memories to the surface, moments you overlooked, feelings you tried to dismiss. But do not fear this emotional movement. It is not chaos, it is cleansing. It is your spirit releasing what it has held for far too long. Michael reveals that once this spiritual separation is complete, you will feel yourself returning to your true self. Your mind will feel lighter. Your heart will feel clear. Your inner voice will feel louder. Your connection with the divine will feel stronger than it has felt in months, even years. Heaven has not forgotten you. Heaven has not abandoned you. Heaven has been preparing you. You are stepping into a season where your discernment will sharpen dramatically. You will begin to recognize energies, intentions, motives, and spiritual signals with clarity you never had before. This clarity is not a gift, it is a necessity for your calling. Michael says, your purpose requires a razor-sharp spirit, and I am here to make sure you walk into your destiny fully awakened. This awakening will affect everything: your relationships, your decisions, your boundaries, your emotional atmosphere, your spiritual authority. You will begin operating with divine wisdom, making choices not from fear, but from truth. And heaven will guide every step. But before we move forward, pause here, because what comes in the next part is a direct unveiling, a revelation that touches the core of your situation. If you leave now, you may miss the very clarity your soul has been praying for. Stay with this message, because the next truth will illuminate everything with undeniable precision. Hold still, you are standing at the edge of breakthrough. Type "I rise into my awakening" in the comments if your spirit is absorbing this message. Blessing code 822 is now released over your path. Beloved, steady your spirit, for Archangel Michael is now pulling back the final veil from the situation that has been whispering through your dreams, tugging at your intuition, and weighing on your heart. What you are about to hear is not only revelation, it is liberation. The spiritual fog that has surrounded your life, the strange heaviness, the emotional fluctuations, the sudden moments of clarity followed by confusion, none of these were random signals. They were signs that heaven was preparing you to see truth without distortion. Michael steps closer, and his presence brings a stillness that quiets every internal storm. He reveals that the person whose energy had been affecting your spirit had been silently battling your own spiritual instability. They are not evil. They are not intentionally harmful. But they are spiritually unanchored. They operate from wounded emotions, shifting motives, and inconsistent intentions. And because of your spiritual sensitivity, you absorbed every shift, every change, every silent emotional ripple in their soul. This person sees you as a source of stability, a refuge, a spiritual anchor. But instead of seeking healing from heaven, they leaned into your strength. They leaned into your light. They leaned into your compassion. And the moment you became the emotional foundation they stood on, your spirit began carrying weight that was never assigned to you. Michael whispers, you became their strength, but they were not yours. This imbalance slowly weakened your clarity, but you kept pushing through. You blamed yourself for emotional exhaustion that was never yours. You vested your intuition when it was actually warning you. You tried to be patient with their inconsistencies, hoping they would eventually rise to meet your level of alignment. But they did not rise. They remained the same. And you, without noticing, began lowering your spiritual boundaries to accommodate their emotional instability. Heaven observed this, and heaven intervened. Michael shows me that a spiritual line has been drawn, heaven separating your path from the energy that has been quietly draining your strength. You may have felt this shift recently, a sudden emotional distance, a feeling of detachment, or a sense that you no longer resonate with this person the way you once did. That is because your spirit has already begun the separation process. The relationship may still exist physically, but spiritually it is dissolving because your soul can no longer carry what theirs refuses to heal. This is why you have been feeling moments of clarity suddenly breaking through the confusion. This is why you've been reevaluating your relationships, your boundaries, and your purpose. This is why something inside you has been whispering that a chapter is ending, even if your mind hasn't fully accepted it yet. Heaven has been shifting you. Michael has been guiding you. And your spirit has been preparing for the revelation unfolding now. Michael says, the person you are connected to is not who they once were. Your spirit has shifted. This shift did not happen overnight. It happened slowly, over time, as they allowed fear, jealousy, insecurity, or emotional instability to shape their perception of you. They didn't communicate it. They didn't admit it. They may not even fully understand it themselves. But their energy changed. And their changed energy began interfering with your ability to remain spiritually grounded. You felt this in moments where they distanced themselves without explanation. You felt it in moments where they seemed irritated by your progress. You felt it in moments where their lack of reciprocity felt louder than their words. You felt it in moments where your presence lifted them, but theirs weighed you down. These were not coincidences. They were signs. Michael reveals that the spiritual judgment you are standing on is heaven determining the outcome of this connection. And heaven's decision is clear. Your purpose cannot be delayed by an unbalanced relationship. Your calling cannot be clouded by someone who is not aligned. Your destiny cannot be tethered to a spirit that is moving in circles while you are being called to rise. This separation is not loss. It is protection. It is not rejection. It is redirection. It is not abandonment. It is divine alignment. And here is the breakthrough. Once this connection fully loosens, your spiritual gifts will sharpen dramatically. You will begin seeing through people with clarity. You will feel a surge of creative and spiritual energy. You will experience breakthroughs that have been delayed. You will feel your confidence returning. And most importantly, your intuition will rise to a level that makes you unstoppable. Michael says the moment you release what weakens you, heaven releases what strengthens you. This is the turning point. You are being prepared for a season of spiritual elevation. A season where your discernment becomes your defense. A season where your light attracts only those who uplift, not those who drain. a season where you walk in the authority heaven placed inside you. Before we move forward, pause your heart for a moment, because what you will hear next is the moment the message shifts from revelation to destiny. It will explain why heaven have been preparing you so intensely and what blessing is waiting once this separation is complete. Stay present. This next truth will awaken something sacred within you. Type "I align with heaven's decision" in the comments if this message is speaking to your soul. Blessing code 150 is now flowing into your path. Sacred soul, open your heart fully now, for Archangel Michael is preparing to release a revelation that marks a shift in your spiritual atmosphere. What he unveils in this moment is not merely guidance. It is divine strategy. It is the map, the instruction, the spiritual direction you have been unknowingly praying for. He stands beside you now, not as a distant heavenly warrior, but as a guardian fiercely committed to protecting what heaven placed inside you. Michael shows me that you are entering a pivotal phase in your journey. This is not a small transition. This is not a minor adjustment. This is a spiritual recalibration. Heaven hath been preparing you to rise, but before you rise, you must understand the depth of the battle you have just come out of. You did not survive it by chance. You survived because heaven was fighting for you. He whispers firmly, you were not alone for even a second. Every moment you felt overwhelmed, heaven was shielding you. Every moment you felt confused, heaven was clarifying your path. Every moment you felt drained, heaven was replenishing your spirit quietly in the background. You are here today, reading this very message, not because life brought you here, but because heaven guided you here. Michael reveals that the spiritual weight you have been feeling was not only from the person who drained your energy. It also came from the future heaven is preparing you for. Destiny carries weight. Calling carries pressure. Purpose demands clarity. You have been feeling the magnitude of what is coming, even before you knew what it was. Your soul sensed elevation approaching, and every distraction, every misalignment, every draining connection had to be addressed before heaven could unlock what belongs to you. This is why the separation had to happen. This is why your intuition grew louder. This is why your dreams became more vivid. This is why your emotional sensitivity increased. Heaven was detoxing your spirit from everything that could interfere with your next season. Michael says, your spirit is moving from survival into authority. You are not just rising, you are transforming. You are stepping into a season where your discernment will become a sword rather than a whisper, where your intuition will guide you with precision, where your energy will no longer be drained by unbalanced connections. You are becoming spiritually unshakable. But now Michael brings forward the deeper revelation. The moment heaven begins elevating a chosen one, the enemy attempts to create confusion, distraction, or emotional entanglement to slow them down. That is what you were experiencing. Not an attack meant to destroy you, but an interference meant to delay you. And heaven refused to allow that delay. You may have thought you were losing a person, but heaven was removing a blockage. You may have felt emotional tension, but heaven was pulling your spirit into alignment. You may have felt spiritual discomfort, but heaven was pushing you into clarity. Everything was intentional. Everything was purposeful. Nothing was wasted. Michael reveals that now, as the fog lifts, you will begin to feel the restoration of your spiritual senses. The heaviness will fade. The confusion will dissolve. Your peace will return. Your inner voice will sharpen again. He says you will not go into the next season with the weight of the old one. Heaven is cleansing your path so that what is coming can enter freely. There is also a divine compensation attached to this separation. What you lost emotionally, heaven will restore spiritually. What drained you in the past, heaven will strengthen you from now on. What confused you before, heaven will clarify in abundance. You are not stepping into a season of emptiness. You are stepping into a season of fullness. But fullness requires an emptying first. That is what heaven has been doing. Michael speaks with great authority. What was removed to protect your destiny. And what is coming next will confirm why it had to be this way. You may feel a mixture of relief, sadness, curiosity, or awakening, but every emotion is part of the spiritual shift. You are shedding the old version of yourself. You are releasing the weights that slowed you down. You are stepping into the identity heaven always intended for you. Before we continue, pause here. The revelation that follows next will not only explain the role Archangel Michael has played in your spiritual journey, but it will unveil what heaven is preparing to release into your life now that this spiritual judgment has passed. The next part carries destiny-level insight. Do not step away now. Your spirit has been waiting for what comes next. Hold still, the transformation is already happening within you. Type "I step into destiny" in the comments if your spirit is rising while receiving this. Blessing code 330 is now activated over your journey. And now, before we move forward, take a moment to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Not for the sake of numbers, but because every action helps push this message into the path of someone who is spiritually drowning, someone who needs this breakthrough, someone heaven is trying to reach. When you engage, you are helping to spread divine awakening. As Archangel Michael lifts you into clarity, let this moment flow naturally into an opportunity to lift others. Your support through super thanks, membership, or a PayPal offering in the description becomes a seed that helps awaken souls across the world. Heaven moves through voices, and every seed you release fuels the spread of divine truth to someone standing on the very edge of spiritual collapse. The Lord whispers, "What you release in faith, I multiply in grace." This is not about donating. It is about partnering with heaven's mission. I feel this in my spirit strongly. Your giving becomes a prophetic act that accelerates your own breakthrough. I bless every hand that sows, declaring open doors, restored strength, and supernatural favor over your life. Step into this moment with faith, for heaven is watching your obedience. Precious soul, breathe deeply and listen, for Archangel Michael is now opening the chapter of revelation that moves beyond exposure and separation. What you are stepping into at this very moment is the beginning of spiritual rebuilding. Everything that has been shaken, removed, or revealed was only the preparation. Now heaven shifts its focus toward renewal, toward restoring what was weakened inside you and awakening what was sleeping within your spirit. Michael's presence surrounds you like a protective circle of fire, and he says, "Child, the danger is not behind you, but neither is the breakthrough ahead of you. The breakthrough is already here. It has begun. You may not feel it fully yet. You may not see it clearly, but your spirit senses something changing. That inner shift, that quiet confidence rising again, that sudden calm you cannot explain. It is the sign that heaven is rebuilding your foundation. Heaven always strengthens what it intends to elevate, and heaven has decided that you will rise. Michael shows me that your spirit has been carrying exhaustion for months, even years, of emotional imbalance. You poured into situations that did not pour back into you. You tried to hold peace in places where peace could not survive. You gave support to hearts that were not ready to heal. And without realizing it, you began abandoning your own needs to meet the expectations of others. But heaven is reversing this. The imbalance is being corrected. Your energy is being restored. Your discernment is returning with power. and your inner voice is awakening with authority. Michael whispers, "You are being restored to yourself." There is no restoration more powerful than the restoration of identity. When your spirit remembers who you truly are, when your inner strength rises again, when your light begins to shine with clarity instead of struggle, you are entering that phase now. There is a shift happening in the spiritual atmosphere around you. You may feel it as sudden moments of peace. You may feel it as quiet confidence. You may feel it as emotional clarity. All of these sensations are the evidence that heaven has lifted the burden that was draining your soul. Michael reveals that the person or situation that once clouded your discernment no longer has influence over your life. That energy has been removed. That attachment has been broken. The spiritual fog has been cleared. And now, you are stepping into a place of spiritual visibility. For the first time in a long time, you will be able to see yourself without the distortion of someone else's influence. You will begin to recognize your strength again. You will begin to feel your inner power returning. You will begin to reclaim every part of yourself that you had to silence just to keep peace. Michael says, the season of shrinking yourself to comfort others has ended. You are rising into your full spiritual stature. Your light will no longer dim to accommodate insecurity. Your clarity will no longer cloud to accommodate confusion. Your purpose will no longer stall to accommodate someone else's hesitation. You are entering alignment now, pure, divine, unstoppable alignment. And with alignment comes acceleration. Heaven is preparing to move things quickly in your life. Doors opening, opportunities appearing, connections realigning, ideas resurfacing, dreams awakening. The reason heaven had to remove the draining influence is because it would have sabotaged what is coming next. But now, with your spirit being fully restored, you will not only step into new blessings, you will be able to sustain them. Michael shows me that your spiritual senses are growing sharper. Your intuition will speak louder. Your dreams will carry guidance. Your discernment will identify motives instantly. Your heart will no longer be easily influenced. You will feel a firmness inside you, a spiritual maturity, a strength that comes not from emotion, but from divine empowerment. And this next revelation is important. Your spirit is no longer on the edge of judgment. Your spirit is now on the edge of transformation. The judgment has passed. The separation has taken place. The fog has lifted. The burden has been broken. The clarity has returned. And now heaven moves into the phase of rebuilding. Michael says, what is being rebuilt inside you will be stronger than what was taken from you. Your resilience is returning. Your courage is returning. Your passion is returning. Your spiritual authority is returning. And soon, you will begin to feel the momentum of destiny pulling you forward. Where you once hesitated, you will move boldly. Where you once felt small, you will stand tall. Where you once questioned everything, you will move with divine certainty. This new version of you is not a replacement. It is a resurrection. Before we move into the next revelation, pause your spirit and absorb this truth. The hardest part of the journey is behind you. What comes next is clarity, direction, and empowerment. You will not go backward. You will not fall back into emotional imbalance. Heaven has sealed this transition. You are stepping into a level of strength that cannot be undone. Hold on now, because the next part will unveil the specific spiritual gifts, abilities, and strengths that heaven is awakening inside you during this transformation. You do not want to miss it. Type "I receive my restoration" in the comments if this message is resonating deeply within you. Blessing code 909 is now released over your life. Awaken soul, be fully present now, for Archangel Michael is opening a realm of revelation that speaks directly to your spiritual identity. Up until now, heaven has been removing, cleansing, clarifying, and separating. But what is happening in this moment goes deeper than all of that. This is the awakening of what heaven placed inside you before you even entered this world. Michael stands before you, not as a messenger of warning now, but as a herald of destiny, calling forth the very gifts that have been dormant within your spirit. He whispers, "Child, the battle was never about who left you. The battle was about who you are becoming. The enemy did not try to drain you because you were weak. The enemy tried to drain you because you carry something powerful, something heaven is now activating again. The confusion you felt was meant to distract you from who you truly are. The emotional imbalance was meant to shake your confidence. The draining connection was meant to weaken your spiritual voice. But none of it succeeded. Because now, after everything has fallen away, your true spiritual strength is rising to the surface. Michael shows me that inside you is a sensitivity that is not weakness but divine intelligence. You feel deeply because you are meant to perceive beyond the surface. You sense shifts before they manifest because heaven made you spiritually intuitive. You recognize truth even when it whispers because your spirit was designed to decode the unseen. These traits have caused you pain at times, yes, but they are part of your spiritual architecture. They are tools heaven is sharpening now. He says, your discernment is your shield. In the past, your discernment felt blurred by emotional noise. But now, heaven is cleansing your inner perception. You will begin to see people not as they pretend to be, but as they truly are. You will feel intentions, not just words. You will sense spiritual alignment instantly. There will be moments where you simply know, without proof, without conversation, without explanation. This is not suspicion. It is revelation. Your intuition is awakening. Your sight is returning. Your spirit is rising. Michael reveals that heaven is now activating 3 spiritual strengths within you, each one shaped through the battles you survived. The first is spiritual clarity. Where you once felt confused, you will now feel certain. Choices that previously overwhelmed you will become simple. Paths that once felt blurry will open with unmistakable direction. Your spirit will know where to go, who to trust, and what to release. Heaven is restoring your ability to hear divine instruction clearly and confidently. The second is spiritual authority. You will begin speaking with boldness, setting boundaries without fear, protecting your energy without guilt. Where you once felt pressure to please, you will now feel empowered to stand firm. Authority is not loud, it is rooted. And heaven is rooting you deeply so that nothing can shake the stability you now carry. The third is spiritual sensitivity. Not the kind that drains you, but the kind that guides you. You will begin sensing shifts before they arrive. You will pick up on spiritual movement in conversations, environments, and even within your own heart. This sensitivity will help you detect danger early, recognize divine opportunities, and avoid emotional traps. It will become one of your greatest strengths. Michael says, these gifts have always been inside you, but they were buried under the weight of the wrong connection. Now they are free to rise. What was draining you is gone. What clouded you is lifted. What silenced you is broken. And now the fullness of who you are, who heaven created you to be, is emerging. Heaven is elevating you spiritually. You will begin to notice new patterns within yourself. You will speak differently, think differently, respond differently. You will no longer tolerate what disturbs your peace. You will no longer ignore red flags. You will no longer shrink yourself. You will stand in your truth, guided by divine wisdom. Michael shows me that heaven is preparing to bring people into your life who match your new spiritual level. People who uplift, not drain. People who align, not confuse. People who support your growth, not resent it. Your spiritual transformation is creating a magnetic field around you, drawing the right souls into your path and repelling the wrong ones. You may notice people fading out of your life without conflict. This is not loss. This is spiritual filtration. Heaven is filtering your connection so your destiny can unfold without interference. You are stepping into relationships, environments, and opportunities that reflect the strength you've regained. And now Michael reveals something extraordinary. The reason heaven moved so urgently, the reason the message carried such intensity, the reason the spiritual judgment was declared, was because you are being prepared for divine assignment. There is something heaven intends for you to do, something only you can carry, something your spirit has been shaped for through every battle, every heartbreak, every revelation. You are chosen, not by accident, but by calling. Before we move deeper, pause your heart here, because the next part will unveil the assignment itself, what heaven is preparing, what Michael is guarding, and what destiny is unfolding over your life. You do not want to step away now. Something sacred is about to be spoken. Stay present, your next revelation is near. Type "I awaken my spiritual gifts" in the comments if you feel the rise happening within you. Blessing code 611 is now active over your journey. Beloved carrier of light, steady your breath, for what Archangel Michael is unveiling now touches the innermost chamber of your destiny. You have walked through exposure. You have endured separation. You have survived spiritual cleansing. And now, you stand in the threshold of divine assignment. This is the moment where heaven reveals why the battle was intense, why the warning was urgent, and why your spirit felt like it was standing on the edge of something irreversible. It is because heaven has been preparing you to step into the very purpose that was written over your life before you ever took your first breath. Michael steps forward with a stillness that carries deep authority. He says, "Child, there is a calling on your life that could not awaken until the wrong influence was removed. You must understand this truth. Heaven does not reveal destiny while your spirit is entangled with energies that distort your discernment. The person or situation that drained you was not just emotional clutter. It was spiritual interference. A cloud placed between you and the revelation of your purpose. But now that the interference has been lifted, heaven can speak clearly. Heaven can move freely. Heaven can instruct you without distortion. Michael reveals that within you is a spiritual blueprint, a divine imprint that contains everything you are meant to become. And for so long, this blueprint was suppressed by exhaustion, confusion, emotional overextension, and spiritual misalignment. You were trying to walk forward while carrying weight that was pulling you backward. You tried to seek clarity while standing in the fog of someone else's unresolved issues. You tried to hear God while listening to the emotional noise of people who were never meant to shape your direction. But heaven has intervened. The judgment declared over your spirit was not to condemn you, but to cleanse you, to break the attachments that muted your destiny, to release you from the voices that drowned out your purpose. And now, like a shield that has been lifted, your spirit is finally exposed to full revelation. Michael whispers, "Your purpose has been waiting for you. There is something inside you that heaven is calling forth, an ability, a gift, a role that carries impact beyond what you can see right now. Your journey, your sensitivity, your battles, your victories, your intuition. They were not random experiences. They were training. They sculpted you into someone who can discern deeply, love sincerely, protect fiercely, and rise powerfully. These qualities are not personality traits. They are components of your assignment. He shows me that you are being called into a role of influence, but not the kind the world defines. This influence begins in the spiritual realm. You will carry peace into chaotic environments. You will speak words that bring clarity to the confused. You will sense danger before it appears. You will feel when someone's energy is misaligned. You will be a vessel of stability, wisdom, and spiritual strength. Heaven has shaped you to be someone others lean on, but this time you will not be drained by that calling. You will be empowered by it. Michael reveals that your spiritual gifts are not meant to remain hidden within you. They are meant to guide, to protect, to uplift, and to awaken others. Your ability to feel deeply is a tool. Your ability to see spiritually is a lamp. Your ability to discern truth from deception is a weapon. Heaven has sharpened these gifts through the trials you survived, and now you are being prepared to use them with intention, wisdom, and authority. You're stepping into a season where you will operate from spiritual maturity rather than emotional reaction. You will make decisions with confidence rather than hesitation. You will establish boundaries with clarity rather than guilt. You will speak truth without fear. You will walk in purpose without apology. This is who heaven is shaping you to become. But Michael also reveals an important truth. Elevation requires protection. You are stepping into a spiritual level where your presence carries impact, your voice carries weight, and your discernment carries authority. And because of this, heaven has assigned Michael to walk with you in a more visible way. You will feel his presence more strongly. You will sense divine warnings more distinctly. You will notice that certain things no longer reach you emotionally because heaven has fortified your spirit. Michael says, "What once wounded you will no longer shake you. You have grown. You have transformed. You have risen. And heaven intends to use you. Your assignment will unfold gradually, like dawn breaking through darkness. You will receive instructions through intuition, through dreams, through sudden clarity, through unexpected confirmations. Heaven will guide your steps one by one. You will not be left to figure it out alone. You will walk with divine reinforcement. But before the final revelation comes, before destiny is fully spoken, you must understand this. The spiritual edge of judgment you once stood on is now behind you. You are not on the edge anymore. You are crossing over. You are stepping into the territory of purpose. Pause now, just for a moment, and let this truth settle. What comes next will not only complete this message, it will seal the assignment heaven is placing over your life. This final revelation is the activation point, the moment everything aligns. Stay here. Stay open. Stay ready. Type "I accept my divine assignment" if your spirit feels this truth anchoring within you. Lesson code 775 is now unfolding over your journey. Chosen vessel, receive this final unveiling, for Archangel Michael now speaks the completion of everything heaven has been preparing you for. This is the moment where warning becomes instruction, where exposure becomes empowerment, where separation becomes assignment, and where destiny begins to move with unstoppable force. You have passed through spiritual judgment, not as someone condemned, but as someone refined. You have endured the shaking, and now you stand ready for the release. The message you are hearing right now is not the end. It is the beginning of the life heaven had been shaping you for quietly, patiently, purposefully. Michael steps forward with the authority of a warrior and the tenderness of a guardian. His presence feels like a pillar of light, something immovable, something ancient, something protective. He says, "Child, everything you survived was preparing you for what I am about to place into your spirit." There is no hesitation in his voice, no uncertainty. Heaven speaks with confidence because heaven knows what has been written for you. And now the divine script of your life begins its next chapter. He reveals that your purpose is not something you chase. It is something you carry. It has been inside you all along, woven into your sensitivity, built into your intuition, hidden within your resilience, buried beneath the pain you survive. It is the reason you feel deeply. It is the reason you sense things before they occur. It is the reason your spirit reacts to spiritual shifts that others cannot see. These traits were never random. They were the fingerprints of destiny. Michael whispers, your purpose is to bring alignment wherever you go. You are a stabilizer, a restorer, a carrier of clarity. When you enter a room, energies shift. When you speak truth, confusion breaks. When you stand in your authenticity, others awaken. This is why heaven needed to separate you from what drained you, because your power cannot operate in an atmosphere poisoned by insecurity and imbalance. Your gifts needed clarity. Your calling needed space. Your spirit needed freedom. Now heaven has created that space. Michael shows me that your journey forward will not be quiet. It will not be small. It will not be hidden. Heaven intends to elevate you, not externally at first, but internally, by strengthening your voice, sharpening your intuition, and expanding your spiritual authority. You will begin to feel a strong inner pull toward certain actions, places, conversations, or decisions. These are not impulses. They are divine prompts. He says, your spirit will lead you into alignment faster than your mind can understand it. And you must trust that leading. Your intuition is no longer fragile. It has been purified. Your discernment is no longer clouded. It has been restored. Your sensitivity is no longer draining. It hath been activated. You will now perceive with accuracy what once confused you. You will sense quickly what once took months to understand. You will move in confidence where you once hesitated. Heaven is not only calling you into clarity, heaven is calling you into impact. There are people whose lives will shift because of your presence. There are hearts that will heal because of what you carry. There are souls who will awaken because of your courage. You may not realize it yet, but you are stepping into a spiritual role that releases ripples into the lives of others. Michael reveals that your assignment carries 3 layers. The first is personal transformation. You will walk differently now, more grounded, more aware, more protected. Emotional instability will not return. Fear will not control you. Confusion will not deceive you. You have crossed a spiritual threshold. The second is relational elevation. Heaven will bring people into your life who match your frequency, who speak truth, who uplift your spirit, who respect your boundaries, who carry integrity. The draining connections of the past are being replaced with divine partnerships. The third is spiritual influence. This influence may begin quietly, through small conversations or simple guidance you offer to others. But it will grow. Heaven will expand your voice. Michael will guard your steps. And opportunities aligned with your calling will begin to appear. You are stepping into a season where heaven trusts you with responsibility. You are stepping into a season where your presence brings healing. You are stepping into a season where you will no longer apologize for your strength, your intuition, or your spiritual nature. You will walk boldly, because heaven walks with you. Michael says, your spirit is no longer on the edge of judgment. Your spirit now stands in the center of destiny. You have crossed over. You have awakened. You have aligned. And now, heaven sets you into motion. Before this message seals, pause for one sacred moment. Let your spirit absorb the truth that everything you endured, Everything that hurt you, everything that drained you, everything that confused you, everything that broke you, it was all preparation. Heaven pulled you out of what was not aligned so you could step into what is divinely appointed. What comes after this message is not fear. It is guidance. It is clarity. It is purpose. It is destiny. And heaven will walk with you through every step. Hold this truth in your heart. What is coming will not be delayed. What is meant for you will not be lost. What heaven promised will manifest. And you, chosen one, will rise into the fullness of who you were always meant to be. Type "I walk into my destiny" in the comments to seal this message in your spirit. Lesson code 1444 is now activated over your life. Now take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe, not as routine actions, but as part of this spiritual movement. When you interact, you help send this message to someone who is drowning spiritually, someone who needs the same awakening heaven just gave you. Your engagement becomes a lifeline. As this final revelation settles in your spirit, let this moment naturally flow into a holy invitation. When you support this ministry through super thanks, membership, or a PayPal offering in the description, you are not giving to a channel. You are sowing into the awakening of souls. Heaven whispers, what you release becomes light for someone standing in darkness. Your seed becomes a tool God uses to reach hearts that would never hear this message without you. I speak this with divine authority. Every act of support becomes a prophetic step into your own breakthrough. Those who sow into the spreading of God's word will reap a harvest of strength, clarity, and restoration. Let your giving become a declaration that you stand with the mission heaven is unfolding. Step into this with faith and obedience, for heaven honors those who fuel its work.